You're on the Six Screens Telenetwork, earning the reputation of giving all the right ingredients, uninhibited, and exposing the hard, cold facts about the Watchtower Society. And now, the end is near.
Well, hello everyone, and welcome in to Six Screens Saturday night. My goodness, here it is, 26th of March. Unbelievable. Hey, we've got a rockin' awesome show tonight, so by all means, stay with us. Oh my goodness, I'm in a good mood. I don't know what it is about Saturday night, but boy, I'm feeling good. I really am. I know I say this every week. I get an adrenaline rush. I really do. I feel good coming on and exposing the Watchtower. And boy, I have to tell you something. And I know I say it every week. You guys are probably saying, oh, come on, Rick. You're looking through rose colored glasses. I'm not. We are looking at an organization that's cooked. And as we always say, take it off the grill, it's done. I don't know where the Watchtower is going. They can't go too much further. They are all over the news, all over the world. Now, not for good things, for bad things. Very cynical, very sinister, very even criminal activity that's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. Well, anyways, my name is Rick Farron, and welcome into the apostate capital of the world. And we love doing the program. We really, really do. We enjoy people coming in and commenting. And I got some prizes tonight, too. I got some prizes for people who are going to make comments. If we can get some people coming in for the first time tonight, I've got some beautiful prizes I'm going to be giving away. We'll talk about that in a while. But anyways, let me just say this. A lot happened this week. The Watchtower is continuing to try to really get that mega studio, movie studio built up in the Hicks of New York. Really, a big 6-story building that's going to have like 1,000 workers. They're trying to get that permit to build this mega movie studio. This is their last vestige of hope. I went into a planning board meeting on Monday night, and they let me come in. I registered to come in, and we'll talk about that in a while. I'm going to have that in the news tonight. I'm going to play a clip of what happened at that hearing board, that planning board meeting up in Ramapo, New York, with the witnesses trying to get a permit to build this monumental movie studio, which is foolish. Waste of time, waste of money, but that's what they want to do. Well, anyways, let's take a look and see what's going on. And like I said, this is my favorite night of the week. I'm really happy. Boy, we're getting a lot of new ones calling in. We have people emailing me all week long. I'm getting emails in here, and I never got this, friends. I used to feel like the Maytag repairman. I never got much attention, really. Never got much going on. But lately, I'm not sure what's happening. I think what's happening is a lot of people are waking up and smelling the coffee, and in they come. They want to listen to what's going on behind the curtains, just like I did when I was getting out of the Watchtower. And you know what it does? I got this feeling, I got this idea of why people have this insatiable appetite, especially people who leave the Jehovah's Witnesses. They have this insatiable appetite to just see what's going on in the Watchtower. And why wouldn't we? We were all scammed. It's a great con job. And we were all scammed by an organization. We gave them our money. We gave them our time. We gave them everything, really. If they asked for it, we would help. And then we find out it's a big con game. I think that's why everyone's coming in, that they just have this. It's like watching someone who killed people, was a madman, and now all of a sudden he's going to be executed. You'd want to see that done. I mean, I'm using a strange example here, I know, illustration, but we are seeing the Watchtower dying, and we're so glad of it because we know that they're not going to be able to recruit people like they used to. They're not going to get people so easy to come into their organization. It's going to be more difficult. And that's what they're trying to do with that mega movie studio. That's their last vestige of hope. Well, we'll talk about that later. But anyways, just to reiterate, last week, we talked about an Illinois child sex abuse case. Now, this Illinois case about two elders is what it was all about. It lasted 2 years in the Illinois court system. And the elders' names were Michael Pencava and Colin Scott. Now, Elder Pencava was 72 years old, and Colin Scott was 88. Now, what they did, they knowingly and willingly failed to report to the authorities in 2006 that a 6-year-old girl, a 6-year-old child girl, as a matter of fact, in their church, Kingdom Hall, was being sexually assaulted by a congregant, by a brother in the Kingdom Hall. Now, that rolls back to 2006. The girl first came to the elders. She reported that she was being sexually abused. They did nothing. They didn't report the sexual abuse, but they permitted the abuse to go on for another 12 years. So here we have a young Jehovah's Witness girl being abused for 12 years of her life. So we mentioned last week that they had a court case and the two were found guilty of a misdemeanor. I'm really surprised with a misdemeanor, but they were found guilty and they were to be sentenced to prison for up to a year. Well, I hate to say it, but the sentencing came this week, and I believe the sentencing was kind of weak. Now, we all know Mark O'Donnell, right? John Redwood is his fictitious name. His real name is Mark O'Donnell. He's really a straight shooter. Well, he worked along with Cedars for a while with Lloyd Evans. He doesn't work with him now, but he's a really good man, this Mark O'Donnell. I mean, he's a straight shooter and a great reporter. He should be reporting for the New York Times or some big newspaper. But anyways, he reported on his Twitter page this week that the Illinois judge Mark Gerhardt has sent to Michael Pencova and Colin Scott, these are the two men elders that were actually covering up and not reporting the abuse. So the judge in Illinois this year, he didn't send them to prison. They don't have to go to prison. It's kind of, I was hoping they could have. Now, I know people are going to say, Rick, no, come on, cut some slack. Hey, look it. I don't like to cut slack to people that hide child abuse. Come on. What if that was your kid? So anyways, the judge cut them slack. What he did is he fined them $250. They're going to be under court supervision for 1 year, and they have to do 10 hours of community service following their March 18th conviction. Now, 10 hours of service, I mean, communities, that's nothing. I guess the fine was more than $250. I think it was $2,500. It says here $250, but I believe it was $2,500, but I'm not sure. But anyways, I was a little disappointed, like you would be, right? Wouldn't you be disappointed that these guys really don't have to go to jail and this young girl suffered? How do you think the young girl feels? How do you think her relatives feel? I'm sure they don't feel good. But the state made an impassioned plea in court today asking the judge for 12 days of prison, 1 day for each year that the victim, but they didn't even get that. I guess they didn't even get that. So, anyways, I'm kind of disappointed. But Jehovah's Witnesses, here's the sad part about it. You know, when these pedophiles, well, they're not pedophiles. They're just people who didn't report the pedophilia. But, you know, even when there's hardcore known pedophiles, and here we have elders that were hiding it, you know, you always have the witnesses show up in court and they want to actually support the defendants. And that's just what they did here on sentencing day. 12 Jehovah's Witnesses appeared in the courtroom to support the defendants. Would you support people who willingly let a 6-year-old get molested for 12 years? Come on. Would you do that? I know I wouldn't. I would have a hard time sleeping at night. How could they really do that? How can you really be a Christian? How can you really have the only truth on the planet and do something like that? Hey, if you'd like to speak up, you're on with us. Yes.
All right, this is Chewy. What I would have done if I would have been there, because technically I'm still on the books as being a witness, what I would have done is I would have walked in with a Watchtower in my hand and set right on the opposite side.
Well, that's you, Chewy, but the witnesses were cozying up to these guys. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. What do you think? You think they should have put the 88-year-old brother Scott? Do you think they should have put him in prison for a little while at least?
Yes.
You know, Rick,
Yes.
if they don't
I'd say
your 6-year-old and that poor baby's age, when they allowed her severe, horrible, persecuting, damaging abuse to continue, why in the world should we be concerned about their age being in their 80s or their 90s? Control. They had choices. That little girl had no choice and no control. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Anne Marie. Go ahead, sir. We had a man in there. Well, not you right now. Hold on, Mike. Let's go with this first man. Go ahead.
Rick, you know, we don't want to see an 80-year-old man go to jail, but you know what? He deserves to go to jail for the rest of his life. Send a message to all these other elders and all these congregations to stop covering up pedophilia. Young people's lives are being ruined. Thank you.
Good. Now thank you, Dick. We've got Mike coming in, but Mike, but let me just, I understand.
I'm not going to say nothing nasty.
No, be nice tonight. Just be nice and
I just wanted to say, I told you so. I told you last week they wouldn't get no jail time or prison time, and I was right. That feels good. Well, I know I'm not very popular and I piss everybody off, but it feels good to be right.
Well, in fact, I have to, I'm not going to clap for you. I'm not going to give you a standing ovation. I'm not going to give any prizes, but you did write to me today and you told me that. And I said, well, he was right. He was right, but they let them go, Mike. You know, they let them go.
I understand. No, I see your point, right? I was just looking at it. I'm not trying to defend child molesters. I'm just looking at. I just thought that from a legal perspective that they would let him go. I mean, remember they let Bill Cosby out of prison because he's so old.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's almost 90.
Yeah. Well, I saw your email.
You know, but you got to look at it too, Rick. You figure a state like Illinois, like there's so many people in prison in a state like that. You got Chicago and all that. You think they want to waste money on these two guys? They're not a threat. They're not a threat to society. Especially the 88-year-old. I'm sure he's no longer an elder at this age. So,
yeah. Well, we always appreciate you commenting, and we have to.
I mean, Rick, and I'm going to ask you. I'm sure you're smarter than I am. Didn't you know that they weren't going to send him to prison? You had to agree.
Well,
you were hoping.
Well, the reason why I thought they would get some is to send a message. Mike. In other words, I would feel kind of funny if I was the judge. And here people were actually deliberately holding back from reporting when the law said you had to report and they didn't. I would have to say at least a little time in jail, maybe even a month,
well,
you know?
I know, Rick, but another factor of this here is too is we don't, I haven't read the whole case. I don't know the whole story. I mean, you say did they know that this child was being raped for 12 years? You know, I don't know. I didn't hear the case. I wasn't there. I didn't read the transcript. I don't know the whole. I don't know everything. Well, the
transcript, and I saw it, and the girl was 6 years old. She came to the elders, these two men, and she told them when she was 6 years old, she was being abused.
Yeah.
And so they didn't report it, and it was mandatory that they were to report it. But this went on.
Right, but my understanding was that they claim that they were told that they didn't have to. It sounded to me like they got some bad legal.
Well,
advice,
what it was is maybe that's where they got off, because they called the Watchtower. They called the Watchtower, and the Watchtower said, "We'll take care of it." He never got the man's name who answered the phone, who said they'll take care of it. They'll say, "Leave it here. The organization will work with it." So in a way, maybe that got him off. I'm not sure. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, though, for coming in. Yeah.
But I just think too, Rick, like these men, I don't want to say give them the benefit of the doubt. You know, if you're in that organization, there's a lot of pressure on you to do what you're told. I mean, maybe in their heart they felt like it wasn't necessarily right, but if you're under the influence of the Watchtower, you're going to do what they tell you. You know, if it, you know, I think, I mean, they kind of did this under duress in some sense, in my opinion. But that's all I'm going to say.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, go ahead.
Hey, this is Chewy. We got to mark it down right. We got to mark this down because Mike has been right 2 weeks in a row. I agree with him on that particular point. If we're in the Watchtower, we don't know what in the heck we're doing. Okay, but we don't think right. We don't think right. But the other thing is, but what's come out of this case is this is a precedent. This is a precedent. How many elders' wives do you think know what's going on in Chicago? Do you think they're having a conversation? Did you do any of that? Do you know anybody about that? Anybody on the older body? You better believe it's going on. Bye.
Oh, good. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else want to speak up on this particular item in the news here tonight?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead. You're on.
Yeah, Rick, this is Chad from Illinois. I'm the minister who called in last week, and I was going over some of the facts of the case. And what I found out was these guys were never facing prison time. It was a maximum of 1 year in jail. Now, of course, the cleaner your record is, the lower it's going to be. So the only thing that really saved these guys is they didn't have any previous convictions. They had nothing on their records prior to this. So that's why the sentencing was so lenient. And also, I got to say this, just this week, because of what happened, the state of Illinois has made new mandates for court-mandated reporters. Now, every one of them has to be registered with the state. And this week, I filled out my paperwork, went through all the training and everything. So it's really a nice system they're getting set up so that this kind of thing is really, there's never going to be an excuse for this kind of thing happening again, ever.
Well, good.
I'd like to say something about that sentencing too. Is that when you're 88 years old, a week in jail could be a life sentence. And I think they have to be a little careful because I don't think that the crime required a life sentence. So you have to be a little more careful with somebody that's that old. Now, if they were younger, they might have gotten jail time. No, I'm not going to have that day.
Yes, you would.
There's a possibility of that. But the thing is, the way the law looks at it is they never look at what happened to the victim of the crime in this. They look at it as the only thing that was on trial here wasn't the rapist. It was just the elders. The facts of the case, as far as what crime they covered up, was hidden, and it was only disclosed that they failed to make a report. That was the facts of the case that had to be judged, and that's where they had actually, you know, it was just a misdemeanor, and it was a low-class misdemeanor. But the way that it looks, the way the law looks at it is, if you break the law, you've broken the law. When you break the law, there's a punishment. Doesn't matter if you're 10 years old or 50 years old or 90 years old. When you break the law, there's going to be minimum and maximum punishments that you can face. And the judge is going to determine that based upon the facts that come out during the proceedings of the court case.
Can I say too, we shouldn't be too surprised when the U.S. Supreme Court justice that they're putting in already turns loose earlier ones with the child pornography. I mean, that's probably typical. The way they kept saying, oh, but all these other judges do it 30%. That's probably true, but that doesn't make it right. As far as the age too, I got to say this: you can't. I think if they're going to give a man a sentence, it should be the same whether he's 88 or whether he's 30. The reason why is if you murdered somebody, you don't get a lesser sentence if you murder an 88-year-old versus murdering a 30-year-old. Life is still life, and especially life to these little innocent victims that this has basically murdered their whole childhood and the rest of their life.
Well said, Randy. Well said. Hey, Chad, I believe you're still on here. I had a man, in fact, Roland from the United Kingdom. He has a program on Saturdays at 5:45. He's going to be on next week. And he asked me this week, he says, if that man, Chad, that calls in could come in and be a kind of a guest on his program, Chad, that would be next week. Would that be possible?
Yeah, absolutely. Just tell me what time, Central Time, to be there and where to go, and I'll be there.
All right, just come in on the same telephone number and the same one you called in tonight, and be 5:45 Eastern, so it'll be 4:45 Central.
Okay. Sure, no problem. I'd love to be on.
Excellent.
Hi, Rick.
Yeah, Roland?
Hi, Rick.
Yes.
Hi, all right. I've heard what you're saying. Yeah, I'd just like to thank Chad in advance for coming on, and I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
All right. There you go. Roland's on with us. So that's good, Chad. So come in next Saturday night, 4:45 your time. And
okay.
he thought that you made some really good comments last week, and he said, I'd love to have him on my program. So that'd be great. Thank you.
Great. Okay, I'll see you next week. I'm going to go ahead and mute my phone now.
Thank you, Chad. All right, you're on 6 screens, JW World News. That's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about, but we talk about it here every Saturday night, and we've been doing it for 16 years, and we're not going to give up now. But, you know, one of the big things, one of the big stories this week, and the witnesses are buzzing about it, going back to the meetings. Oh, that is the dreaded phrase. Nobody wants to go back. Yes, they do not want to go back. And the elders are really, you know, I had a man, let me put it this way to you. I had a man who was an elder in my congregation I went to here in Massachusetts. And his name was Jimmy, Brother Jimmy. And Jimmy, he would always say, isn't the organization so organized? Man, I heard him say that 100 times. And I'd have to tell you, at times back then, they did appear pretty organized. They told you everything. I mean, you knew when the assembly was coming up. You knew when the memorial was coming up, special campaigns. I would have to agree with Elder Jimmy that at one time the organization was pretty organized. But right now, friends, I'm going to tell you, the organization is disorganized. It is unorganized. It is really out of control. It's like a plane in a nosedive. Really, it is so disorganized right now. And the reason why I'm saying this, the governing body, they seem to be half-hearted. They don't seem to have their feet planted firmly on the ground about getting people back in person to the meetings, the kingdom halls. There seems to be very little appetite, even among the elders and the rank and file, to put a big effort into, you know, building it up. Hey, friends, we're going back to the kingdom hall. I mean, this is absolutely nutty. It's like a 2-week notice. It one, you know, go back a couple of weeks ago when they were so concerned about the COVID virus and wear your masks. And even if you're older and you can't get out, have someone else do it for you. But now it seems like in 2 weeks, they took a 180-degree turn. So the witnesses, they're scratching their heads. They don't even have enough time to think about it. I mean, you would think something of this magnitude, really, if you haven't met in a kingdom hall for 2 years, don't you think that's a pretty big deal? but they're kind of peddling it lightly. In fact, they think you would think there would be a local needs talk, right? You think they would have had that last week during their Zoom meeting. We have a local needs talk here now, friends. We're all getting ready to go back to the Kingdom Hall. Crickets. Nobody heard a thing. There was no local needs talk to encourage witnesses to come back to the Kingdom Halls. What is going on? But I got a feeling. I just got a feeling. I think I know what's going on here. I believe that it's all being soft pedaled by the Watchtower organization itself. They want to go very slowly with this. Now, what they're doing, evidently, from what I can see, is they are having elders reaching out personally to get people to the meeting. They're putting the responsibility on the elders, and I'm going to tell you why. I know you guys, I think you know where I'm going with this, but they're putting the responsibility on the elders to reach out personally, and they're sending text, and they're calling them on the phone and inviting them back to the meetings. The elders, as a matter of fact, were told, I got information from an elder this week, the elders were told to ask everyone in their service group if they had any questions or concerns about going back in person to the meetings. So the elders at the local level seem to be the ones that are trying to get people back to the meeting. The Watchtower is kind of backing off. They're giving these elders the responsibility. Elders are leaving voicemails. Yeah. In fact, one voicemail I did hear this week is an elder called up this PMO and said the reason he was calling is the branch office has given the elders who have groups that they're overseeing, the branch office is orally giving them information to give to the publishers. Boy, they don't want anything in writing. So the elder said on their voicemail, he's reaching out to family heads. And he says, it would be good if you could call me at your earliest convenience. And so they're leaving voicemails. It sounds like the branch office. Now, just stop. I want you to put your thinking cap on. It sounds like the branch office is covering their butts as best they can with this return in-person meeting arrangement. I believe it's because the organization knows there could be a lot of legal liability if they had some type of an instruction. I mean, now this is a big deal for witnesses to go back to the meeting. You'd think that they'd be so organized. They have printing presses. They print up, memorial invitations. They print up brochures. Why wouldn't they print up a little booklet or instruction sheet on how to attend the meetings? Put your mask on, do this, do that, or whatever. No, they're not. They didn't do that. They didn't do that at all. They want to stay away from this. They don't want anything in writing. You see, they've been doing things here that just does not pass the smell test to me. It really, really doesn't. And I'm going to be reading you something here very, very shortly. I'm going to read you a letter that was sent to me by this man named Atlantis. It's what you can do with the meetings, what you can't do, and all of that. But I'll be reading that in just a little bit. So the organization seems to be legally stepping aside from this, and they don't want to be involved in something that could cause them harm in a short while. So anyways, it's kind of fascinating to me that the Watchtower is not making itself clear. Sorry, folks, I got phones going off here and people mailing me stuff on Facebook, but it's okay. So one of the things that you have to do when you go back to the meetings is you have to wash your hands. Now they're talking about the memorial meeting. Now let's think about this for a second. There's going to be a lot of burden placed on the witnesses going back to the meetings in person. They're talking about how you're going to handle the memorial. When you go to the memorial, they want you to wash your hands, I guess, before and after touching the emblems. I guess what you do is take a little bit that Perel or one of these sanitizers or something. So they don't, they're warning people, make sure you wash your hands. See, this can kind of cover them. If an elder tells them, make sure you wash your hands, and they don't do it, at least if the Watchtower ever does get sued, even though they don't have anything in writing, they can say, well, the elders would have told you to wash your hands. Did you do that? So they have to imagine that. Imagine going to a meeting and you got your hand sanitizer with you. And after sitting down for the 45-minute memorial, more like an hour memorial, and listening to all of that, washing your hands sounds ridiculous. Also, we have to, after the Kingdom Hall, after the meeting, they want you to clean and sanitize the Kingdom Hall after every meeting to prevent infection. Jeez, can you imagine that? So they'll be cleaning Kingdom Hall 2-3 times a week, and I mean deep cleaning. So anyways, as I understand here, voicemails are going out to many, many witnesses, and they don't want really much of anything in writing. Even when they text you, the elders may text you, but they're not going to leave any instructions in the text. They're just going to say, we want to meet to talk with you, or maybe we can talk on the phone. But they don't want to put anything out in writing. So I find it fascinating. I really find it fascinating. So when you stop and think about it, you would think everyone would be excited as they used to be about the memorial season. And you would think that they would be encouraging auxiliary pioneering now that people are coming back to the meetings. They used to make it a big deal for the memorial. They used to make it a big deal when the circuit overseer would visit. They would try to get people to auxiliary pioneer that month. And for regional conventions, boy, they always had a local needs talk. Oh, make sure you come to the convention. They'll tell you a year ahead of time where you're even going to stay. But this time, going back to the meetings, they're hearing nothing, zero. The elders are kind of running the program here when it comes to getting people back to the Kingdom Hall. It just doesn't seem to have the same exciting buildup of excitement for returning to the in-person meetings. There wasn't even any announcement to volunteer to clean up and prepare the hall. You'd think they would have had an announcement ahead of time. Let's get together. Let's get ready for a meeting in person. So I can't decide here. I'm really in a dither. If the governing body's hands were forced to get things moving quickly to restart these physical meetings. I mean, a couple of weeks ago, my goodness, COVID was really running rampant, and we're going to try to do some pilot in-person meetings, and now a complete 180-degree turn. So I don't think that the governing body really is totally prepared for what's going to happen. I really, really don't know, but I think they're stepping in here quick because they see so many people leaving the Watchtower. They're hemorrhaging. So maybe the accounting department said, hey, we better get going. We better get these meetings quick, or we're losing so much money. So maybe out of a desperate move. It's just my thoughts here. I don't know, friends. I'm just trying to figure this out like you are. So, no drum roll, back to the meetings. Maybe there's such a desperate move to get people to come back because so many people are fading right now. And something I got thinking about too with meetings. Do you think the Jehovah's Witnesses really, really like going to the meetings? I live up here in the snowy northeast of the United States. And boy, we get snow. And I remember some days even having the hint of snow on a meeting night. I know many of the elders, including myself, I used to get bombarded with telephone calls, and people would call, is there going to be a meeting tonight? Is there going to be a meeting tonight? And they were just hoping in the back of their minds that it would be canceled, right? Yeah. The fact is, in the deepest recesses of one's heart, many didn't want to go to the meeting and have to do all that was involved. They were glad to get a night off. So after they've had 2 years off, think about it, 2 years off, you think they're going to be glad to go back to the Kingdom Hall? Hey, they like Zoom, even though it's a pain in the neck, but it's a lot easier than running off to a meeting. They like Zoom. It's very easy for them. And it's a great thing if you really are a loyal witness. You don't have to dress up and run to the Kingdom Hall. And you guys know what it'll be like. Maybe you had to run home from school or from work, getting your clothes ready, getting the children on board, shoving dinner down your throat, and only to go to a boring meeting where you would be chastised for your late attendance. I mean, really, you had to make sure you're there on time, or people would look at you like you were a weak person. The Jehovah's Witnesses experienced freedom on Zoom. They were relaxed on Zoom. They really, really could. Their anxieties were lower on Zoom. They didn't have to worry about going to a meeting where people would see how they dress. Oh, look at her. That's an ugly dress. Man, look at that crummy suit that brother has on. He shouldn't be wearing that polka dot shirt. He should have a white shirt on. I mean, they got a relief from getting all this gossip in the Kingdom Hall. Now, the governing body knows this, that they know people really like to be on Zoom. And why wouldn't they? That is why they're making folks get back to the Kingdom Hall. That's why they're doing it. They want to get them back because you can't go on forever in Zoom. You'll never get them back. And as I said earlier, many are not wanting to go back. In fact, even some information I got here concerning a super elder who is still in. He's a PME. He's physically in. He's mentally in. He's a pioneer elder. And he says he's not going back to the meetings. He's going to stay on Zoom, and he's only going to attend in-person Kingdom Hall meeting if he has to give a talk. He shows zero enthusiasm for returning to the Kingdom Hall. He even thought it's still a fully indoctrinated, he's still a fully indoctrinated Jehovah's Witness, and he's saying this. So even PMEs, people are still in, they don't like the idea. Boy, I'm telling you, friends, this going back in person is going to be real messy, really messy. When they get there, all the witnesses are hoping for this big grand reunion of the friends. Oh, we're going to see our friends again. It's going to be a disaster. Many will not be there. And the ones that will be there will be expressing a lack of interest and a lack of enthusiasm. I hope I have a front row seat. I want to see this. This is going to be absolutely crazy. Hey, you're on with us. Who'd like to speak up? You're on JW World News. What do you think? What are you hearing? Yes, go ahead. Speak up. You're on with us.
Yeah, hello, Mr. Farron.
Yes, Ken.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call and so forth. I find the program's getting more interesting all the time, and I'm glad to hear that. And we just hope that we're making a lot of progress in exposing this Watchtower Society, whatever it's worth and all that. I just want to comment on the meetings right now. They're not going to, I don't think they're going to do, I think it's going to be counterproductive when they go back to the meetings, like it's been theorized or predicted that by the Six Screens Network and other people, that they're going to find fewer and fewer people over there. And as we go around the country, we punch the computer boards and all that. There's still a lot of Kingdom Halls that's going for sale, that's up for sale. There's still a lot of, they're still doing a lot of contemplating and talking about certain Kingdom Halls being closed down and so forth. So I think it's going to be counterproductive and all that. And I think it's like you said earlier, some of the Watchtower people are not going to feel like going back to the meetings in person. They're going to stay on Zoom or whatever.
Well, that's exactly what's going to happen. That's exactly what's going to happen. Yes, you're absolutely right, Ken. Well, thank you. Thank you for calling in.
Yeah, you're welcome. We'll keep listening.
Well, thank you very much. So what do you guys think? You think that all the witnesses are going to be really happy to go back? What about some of your friends? Have you heard anything at all? What do you think? I'd like to hear from you. What do you think? Go ahead.
Hello, Rick?
Yes.
Yeah, Rick, I was going to say just another side thought with regards to that is, just the price of gas alone. I mean, here in California, in some places, people are paying over $6 a gallon. And, you know, with a lot of the witnesses, they were shut down for 2 years. You know, they didn't go to work. They were told by Watchtower, don't even go out and do your own grocery shopping. I mean, you know, to have groceries delivered. I mean, that, you know, Safeway will do that and other stores, but they're going to charge you a delivery charge. But my point is that for being shut down for 2 years, and then now with the gas prices astronomical and they keep climbing, you know, every week, I don't think, you know, Watchtower, I don't think some of the witnesses can even afford to go back, Rick. That's just my side thought, let alone not wanting to go to the Kingdom Hall. So that's what I have to say, Rick. You know, I wish I could be on a fly on the wall just to see what happens and report it back to you, you know?
Wouldn't that be good, huh? My goodness, I'm just dying to see it.
That would be good.
I'm looking so forward to that. It's like going to be wonderful to see what happens. Now, what I want to do, anyone else want to call before we move on? You want to say something?
Rick.
Let's go to Anne-Marie. Go ahead.
I have two things I'm considering. One, I think it's going to be very uncomfortable initially if they do go back, because everybody is on their best fake behavior, trying to present the persona of being a good, strong in the truth, Jehovah's Witness. And, you know, because they have been away from each other for so long, I think each one is going to be more sensitive to the fakeness and to feeling uncomfortable, whereas before we were just so used to it. We did it 3 times a week and twice on the weekends. And the other thing is, it concerns me that so many Kingdom Halls have cameras where they spy on their members. I can't help but think that they are going to be spied upon and analyzed and probably called into the back room for something about their behavior. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you. My goodness gracious. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Rick. Excuse me. Connie kind of stole my thunder there with the gasoline prices, but I used to live across the street from the Kingdom Hall. It's kind of where we bought that house. And so I used to be the one that called off the meetings if the snow was too deep. And I'd be getting phone calls all afternoon. Hey, Brother Borgia, you know, we've already got a half a foot and it's going to snow all day. And by the time the meeting gets out, it's going to be 1.5 feet. So anytime we had anything over 6 inches of snow, I always called it off. And a lot of people were delighted at the fact that I was calling off the meetings.
Oh, Dick, we all loved it when there was no meeting. I mean, all of us. There wasn't anybody happy to go. I can remember one time even we had a circuit assembly, and the assembly hall is 30 miles from where I live. And it was snowing to beat the band. I mean, it was snowing. There was no sign of sunlight. It was dark. It was snowy. And I remember it was a Sunday morning, and I just wanted to see if they were having the assembly. I figured, gee, this should be crazy bringing people out on a day like this. So I called the assembly hall, and the brother said, well, you know, Brother Farron, meetings are so important, and it really is a snowy day, but we haven't canceled it. You know, we're still going to have it. And I'm thinking, my goodness, give the people a break. They would put people's lives in danger, Dick, to get them to the Kingdom Hall. Too much.
You know, just a quick thought on that. I can remember one time when I called off the meetings, I turned around, both of my boys, they were probably 7 and 10 at the time, jumping up and down. Hey, we have to go to the meeting tonight. It's like there's no school day.
Oh, Dick, that's funny. Yeah, but that's true. That's true. Thank you, Dick. I want to read a letter. Yeah, I want to read this letter. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Facebook, you will see the letter on there. So let's do this. I'm going to share it right now. Then I'm going to read you the letter. Let me just make sure it's up there. Okay, it's up there. This is a letter. Now I get a letter from this man. His name is Atlantis, and I don't know who he is. He goes by the name Atlantis, but he's an insider at the Watchtower. Now he gives it to other people too. Mike and Kimmy get it. I think even Lloyd got it and some others. but he sends it here. And I know he's glad that we read it here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. But let me read you the letter. I want you to just hear what goes on in this letter. So let me read it to you. Let me just give me a second here just to get it on this other screen. So it'll be better to do it. Okay, let me just get it right here. Give me a second. But this letter comes, I get about 3 or 4 letters a month from Atlantis. And these are the reminders. These are the reminders that, you used to get at the meetings, right? That read during the service meeting. But here's the letter. Now, the letter is actually dated March 19th, 2022. That's just a few days ago. It says, for elders, resuming in-person congregation meetings. In preparation for resuming in-person meetings beginning April 1st, 2022, a modest sign should be posted at each Kingdom Hall entrance with appropriate safety precautions in accord with local circumstances and governmental regulations. So you can see the governing body is really trying to cover their butt, so to speak. Put a sign up there. We want to make sure people are aware of what's going on. And then it says here in this letter, we are strongly encouraged to wear a mask while inside the facility. By attending in-person congregation meetings, you are confirming that you are not displaying a cold or flu-like symptom. You have not been exposed to the tested positive for COVID-19 in the past 10 days. These are the same questions they ask when you go visit a hospital. You got to talk to a gatekeeper and they'll ask you these questions. So it says, if you do not meet these requirements, please tie into the meeting by video conference. If you have not received previous instructions regarding how to do so, please call in the Kingdom Hall and give me information. So you can see that it's a pretty detailed letter here. I'll go into more of it and you'll see what I'm talking about. I find it really fascinating. This letter is really, it's more or less a way to give the Watchtower legal protection. It says some congregations may have been contacted by the local design construction department for making upgrades to the Kingdom Hall to improve hygiene and reduce the potential for transmission of viruses. While we want the measures that have been approved to be implemented, do not wait to resume in-person meetings until such measures have been completed. So what they're saying, so some of these Kingdom Halls have been sitting around for 2 years. They're probably moldy. I'm sure the roofs have been leaking. Water has been probably dripping. They haven't really been keeping them up. So some of these Kingdom Halls really are uninhabited, or they shouldn't be. They're inhabitable. They can't, you can't inhabit them, really. They're in such rough shape. So the local design committee, they're going to make sure with some of these rundown Kingdom Halls that the necessary repairs are done. But they're saying, if you can get away with just cleaning it and taking reasonable precautions, you want to do this so this virus doesn't spread. Okay, now that kind of gets them off the hook, doesn't it? In other words, if the brothers decide they want to meet before the work is done and they meet, then they're on their own. So now it's saying here, for your information, all special full-time servants, such as Bethel family members, circuit overseers, and special pioneers, are required to wear an N95 mask or a local equivalent while attending meetings in person and when in public. So they got to have a mask, and it says that the Bethelites are doing it and circuit overseers are doing it. It says they are permitted to remove their mask when handling parts on the platform, provided there is no governmental COVID restrictions against doing so. So you see, they're giving instructions to the elders. So the elders are now to orally give these instructions, from what I can gather here, to the congregation. And then it says, make sure you don't go over capacity limitations. Now, this I found very fascinating. Memorial emblems. The memorial emblems. It says here the emblem should be passed in the normal manner unless prohibited by local authorities. Those in attendance are encouraged to take appropriate precautions, such as washing hands and wearing a mask. So, from what I gather here in some previous posts that I saw here this week, evidently, as you're passing the memorial emblems, and I got a thought on this myself. You know, as you guys know, I used to partake. I was an anointed brother, right? You know that. So my wife was, my former wife also. So we'd sit there in the Kingdom Hall, and I remember telling my wife, just kind of wipe the top of the glass with a paper towel or maybe a Kleenex, because everyone's handling this. I mean, there's germs on that, right? So they're passing this all around. And those that have to sip it, like my wife, my former wife and I, am saying, geez, everyone's hands were on this. But anyways, they're saying, what I see is they want you to kind of wash your hands before before it comes to you. And then evidently wash your hands, because they're saying there's germs on the glass. Even, I guess, wash your hands with that Perel, I guess, that sterilizing alcohol. Wash your hands after you also pass it, from what I can gather. So, yeah, there's more here. I won't go into all of it. Of course, there's going to be this saying, the use of the Kingdom Hall. No weddings, no funerals. No, not going to have that. Just meetings. And they're not even going to be, the field ministry meetings aren't going to even be meeting at the Kingdom Hall. They're going to be done through video conference. Judicial matters should continue to be handled according to the directions previously provided by the branch office. Well, they were using the Kingdom Halls even during COVID to disfellowship some people. So now here's something here. This is bizarre. Boy, this is bizarre. This says disfellowshipped or disassociated individuals may attend congregation meetings at the Kingdom Hall. Disfellowshipped well, I'm thinking, who would want to do that? I mean, really, who wants to go to the Kingdom Hall if you disfellowshipped? But I guess some who would disfellowship, maybe they still have a heart for Jehovah. But I mean, a disassociated one, I can't believe that they'd want to go to a meeting. Now this is something. I mean, if you guys, this is why you should be glad that you're out of the organization. This is why you should be glad. After each meeting, the congregation should clean the Kingdom Hall, including disinfecting touch locations. I never heard of the term touch locations. Have you? I mean, in my way of thinking, everything, if you have, 50 to 100 people coming to the memorial, I think everything in the Kingdom Hall would be a touch location. So you have to stay after the meeting, and you got to disinfect these touch locations. I can just see it now. If you were the ringleader for cleaning, oh, Brother Ferrin, is this a touch location? Clean it. I mean, everything would be a touch location, right? Oh, my goodness. What a lot of work. What a lot of work. And not only that, if you have a congregation that has two congregations meeting there, so the congregation that had the first meeting, they have to do all this cleaning after, and then the congregation coming in, they also do some cleaning before they meet. So, man, this is going to be a lot of work. I can't believe it. So these are things they're saying. I'm not going to go into it all, but I found that kind of fascinating. I found that really, really fascinating. I'll get this off of the sharing here on my YouTube and Facebook, but that was the letter. That was a letter from Atlantis. But I think of all of the verbiage and all of the different instructions, so to speak, that were in there. I'm thinking the thing that really got me thinking the most was a couple of things. First of all, disassociated individuals may attend congregation meetings at the Kingdom Hall. Geez, they must be grasping for straws here. even telling disfellowship people, come back, come to the memorial. But I can't believe that a disassociated person would want to attend a meeting at all. I can't believe it. It'd be like a felon, right? It'd be like a felon getting out of prison for 40 years and then making his weekly visit back to the prison because he feels he should have served more time. I mean, that's it's a good illustration that I'm trying to use here, trying to bring something reasonable to mind here. But I can't imagine disassociated when going back. And imagine having to sit in the Kingdom Hall with no windows, for the most part, while wearing a mask for 2 hours. That sounds like a death sentence to me. Listening to the same old drivel. They could listen to that on Zoom, and in Zoom, they wouldn't be required to clean the Kingdom Hall after each time they use it. So, I think it's going to be very difficult for the Watchtower to get people back to the Kingdom Hall. Nobody's going to want to have anything to do with this insane cult. People will not want to be going. And I am sure that the governing body members, well, they're going to set the example in the hall. You're not going to find a governing body member cleaning a Kingdom Hall. Get that out of your head right now. But I can hardly wait. I wish it could happen because I can hardly wait to see pictures of Mark Sanderson cleaning the toilets. Can you imagine that? I would love to see that. So what do you think?
Hey, Rick?
Yes.
Hey, this is Chewy.
Yes.
I was listening to a YouTube video from JetX, and he was doing a live stream on ones that were going back to the hall, and or the PMOs. They had a lot of PMOs came in that thing. They had about 6 or 7 of them. It was about an hour and 20 minutes long, and all of them said they were not going back, and they basically had left. But the interesting thing that I found is that probably about 70% of them that commented on that live stream were out since about 2019, 2020, 2021. So all of them are recent. So if that's just a snippet of what's happened during this COVID thing, who knows what else is out there, that we don't know yet.
Well, Chewy, that's a good thought. And where they're being so explicit on cleaning, touch areas have to be clean. You would think under this arrangement that the witnesses, at least the Watchtower, would encourage some national cleaning service just once, like a Service Pro or COVID Clean. These are companies that actually will come in and more or less ensure that your place is clean and ready. You would think for a one-time special deal here to open the Kingdom Hall after it's been sitting for 2 years that they would hire a company like that. But no. They're not going to do that. They're going to go with the free labor.
They don't have to because most of the witnesses work for those sorts of companies.
Not only that, think of all the money that could go to Watchtower if they were to spend it on a professional cleaning company.
Oh, good.
Hey, Rick,
Yes.
my church has a professional cleaning company coming in.
Yeah. They come in and they clean professionally, and your church pays them, and it saves you from having to take your suit coat off and loosen up your tie and grab a toilet brush and start scrubbing toilet stick,
I don't know why all of us here, Rick, we're forgetting when we used to go to the hall on Saturday and clean the hall for Sunday. So they're going to have the meetings are going to such and such congregation has to clean the hall, for their next meeting. That's what they're going to do for their next meeting. They're going to recruit. Like it used to be bad enough the kids had to go to school the next day or whatever, but they're going to say, I live in New York. I even see at my subway stop. They have, of course, paid people cleaning off because my stop is the last, the first, whatever you want to call it, stop on the subway. They have people cleaning off as soon as the train pulls up. When we get off, they have paid people, which is not happening in the organization, but cleaning off with their sprays and their stuff, cleaning it off. They're paid, but now, which started during COVID. But now I'm assuming the witnesses sound like they're going to do the same thing. But of course,
it's going to be like Brothers. If anybody would like to volunteer to clean off the chairs and wipe off the, handles, the doorknobs, whatever, that's what they're going to do. You think they're going to pay? Rick, you know better than that.
Oh, no. No, they're not.
Hey, Shirley. Hey, Shirley.
Yeah.
I'm just curious. This is Chewy down in Oklahoma. I was in Brooklyn. I've been waiting for you to come on here in the last couple of weeks when I had a chance to shout at you. What congregation did your mom go to up there? I know this is a long shot.
I don't really want to say the congregation, but I'll say I'm from
right.
Queens. I'm from Queens. I'll say I'm from Queens.
Oh, okay. I went to.
Are you Chewy? Are you familiar with any congregations?
Well, a little bit. I went to two of them. I went to an English one and I went to a Spanish one. I went to Bronxdale. It was in the Bronx. And then when I went to the Spanish, I think it was in Brooklyn. It was called Woodbine.
Okay, because I like to say the congregation I grew up with and do mostly about. Well, before we moved to Queens, we lived in the Harlem area when I was 4.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't know anybody. I was just curious. All righty. Okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, you're on with us. You want to come on and say something? Go ahead. You're on with us.
Hey, I got a question.
Sure.
After they go and do all this work and clean and everything to go to the meetings, what are they going to be teaching? Everything revolves around, the ministry and going out in service, door to door, ministry school, service meetings, and to go out door to door and get people to come to the Sunday meeting and want to have studies. They're not going to do that anymore, are they? Are they going to start going out door to door service again?
Well, Rob, they haven't said anything about that, but they're not. Trust me, it's going to be a while before they do that. If they even do it again, that they got to find a better way. They're now trying to find. Of course, they're trying to get that mega movie studio. The door-to-door work's not working. Nobody would answer the door today. Who's going to answer the doors to strangers coming down the street? And not only.
So what are they going to teach at the meetings then?
Well, they're going to have crappy meetings, but they're going to hope that people will keep writing letters, and they're hoping to build that mega studio where they can, just evangelize and preach to people through their live streaming. Yeah.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they're going to be real surprised. People have been sitting around home with these Zoom meetings, because of COVID and maybe not working and whatnot, and being isolated. And they've done some research online and saw that they really do belong to a cult, and they're going to probably be thinking twice, a lot of people, about going back to the meetings.
Exactly. A lot of people, Jeff. It's going to really be a train wreck. It really is. I don't see where they're going to get a lot of people, but I might be wrong. Mike.
Well,
Yeah.
This is Linda.
Yes, Linda.
Hi, okay. So last week I had lunch with my brother-in-law. Matter of fact, you gave me a call when that happened, and he's an elder. Okay. So I asked him straight up, so what are you guys going to do for service? Are you going to go back to the cards? He said, no, they're going to keep doing letter writing and phone calls. So that's the way it is right now.
Cards?
No.
Are you actually saying no cards? I can't believe that.
Me too. I asked him like 3 times, no cards? I mean, they just have to stand there, right? And he goes, that's it.
They're in the subway stations. There are in one subway station, I have seen 2 to 3 carts set up in the same subway. In New York, that's how they count their time. A big table talking to nobody. That's how they count their time here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
that sounds like a kiosk. Or I'm Southern California, so I don't know how.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I know. But here in New York, that's how they count their time. Yeah.
That makes sense. Go ahead, Jeff.
So besides your door-to-door work, I guess the next thing you do is you witness to people at work and people at school, and the car, those carts. People don't do that anymore. Have people work from home now. People don't go to school like they used to. They don't have anything to
back in school.
Many students
Oh,
of
wait,
public schools are back to school, but
Yeah, but it's not like college is what I'm talking about, high school and college.
oh well, yeah, I
Anyway,
agree.
that's down. A lot
So
of it.
that's just what I heard for the Southern California area. That's,
After they do all this work, they might catch COVID at the Kingdom Hall.
Yeah.
And why
I
would
expect
people want
that to
to
happen.
take a chance with that?
and that's all they need to be sure and have the governing body get on JW broadcast and say, we've heard you and we want to please you. So we're now all going to they're all going to go on remote, they'll end up closing the Kingdom Halls. And they'll make it sound like it was something we wanted, right?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen is my expectation.
Yeah. She couldn't find a modest dress because she'd gained 2 sizes in being home and making casseroles for 2 years. And then another friend of mine was telling me how much gas costs. Someone said the new cars weren't even on the lot near me. There were no new cars. And someone else, I had 3 people fighting over a used car. So they're not thinking of gasoline cars, the fact that no one dresses up even at Easter time anymore. So where are you going to find a witness suit or dress for memorial at a reasonable price? So things have changed.
Yes, they have. And Rick, we were talking about those that are disfellowshipped, if they were going to still go to the Kingdom Hall. Now, my theory would be that elders would want them to be there because the purpose of being having to sit at the back of the Kingdom Hall is public shaming. And you don't get to be publicly shamed as well when you're sitting at home on Zoom. So that's just my opinion.
Well,
So
it's not only an opinion, it's a fact. That's right. They publicly shame you. Hey, I'll tell you what we got. We all know Dan Clark, right? Well, he has him and his wife, Angela.
Yes.
Beautiful people. They've been off for 2 weeks. They'll be back with us next week. But he did a video. He was in, I believe it was Arizona, Colorado. It was in Colorado, and he did a video. He was driving by a Kingdom Hall, and he saw some cars in the parking lot. So he figured he'd just go knock on the door. I'm going to play that video. There's a message.
Oh, right on.
There's a message behind this video that I want to discuss with you. So if you're on YouTube, Facebook, if you're on the Six Screens Video Suite, you'll see it. If you're on the radio network, you'll hear it. Let's share this. This is Dan Clark at a Kingdom Hall in Colorado. And it was quite fascinating. Dan does a good job. He's a good man. So let's share this with our people here. Let me just get a big full screen for you. So it'll be able to full screen it. And let's get Dan on here right now. He's in Colorado, outside of a Kingdom Hall. Let's listen in. Let's listen to Dan.
Well, Idaho, and we're just checking out this Kingdom Hall. There's obviously nobody here. I think because they're selling these things off, really. I looked online. Let's see. Let's just ring the bell. Just ring the bell here and see if anybody comes.
He's ringing the bell at the Kingdom Hall.
Just knocking on the door. Reason I'm knocking is because there's a car in the parking lot, and maybe there's somebody here. But again, it says due to COVID. Hey there, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
Are you having any meetings today?
No, we're not. We're actually cleaning.
Oh, okay. They said the meetings were back open.
They will be. They're not.
They will be? Hey, how you doing?
Oh, good.
Good, just checking it out. I thought we were gonna get to come to a meeting. How you guys doing? You guys all got your mask on, huh?
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
So Dixon.
I'm Dan. Dan, nice meeting you. What's your name?
Joe.
Joe?
Hey, how you doing?
And you guys are still under mask, huh?
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Wow, wow. So when are they gonna open the meetings?
It'd be, we're planning on the April 1st.
April 1st?
Yeah.
Okay, is that because of COVID?
No, just, one of the goals we're setting to, just get everything ready, so we got it all clean. And
So you guys are going through and doing like maintenance and
Yeah.
stuff? Cool,
and,
cool.
hand sanitizers and
How long have you guys been in? I was in like 22 years. How long have you guys been witnesses?
Oh, it's been my whole life. So.
Your whole life?
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking? Do you guys ever feel bad because it's been closed so long? The only reason I'm saying this is like, they shut down because of COVID, right? Taking all the precautions. But do you guys feel like at all like upset because it was like a year after everybody else opened that you guys got to open up? Like, do you feel bad that you had to stay like closed down a year longer than everybody else? Because like rest of the churches, I drove around and they're all going to church, right?
Yeah.
And so, do you guys feel bad at all?
Oh, no, not at all.
Not at all?
Yeah, because, we had the Zoom meetings going on and
They were pretty regular and consistent. They started up right away.
Yeah, and then we still did our ministry, doing letter writing, phone ministering.
Gotcha. So it never stopped.
What's up with the recording?
Yep, I do videos. I was a Jehovah's Witness 22 years. And I left a little while back. I left over the generation prophecy. I don't, I'm not angry. I just decided to leave. I don't know if you guys were in that prophecy, the generation, 7 to 8 years from 1914, the world was going to end. And so I just left because of that. I actually, basically, since you asked, I went to the elders and I said, hey, I got a question. Did a prophecy pass? Did we pass prophecy? Because I was born in.
Yeah.
And so I was in for a long time. I'm 63 now. And so I was in for a long time. And I went to the elders and I just said, hey, did we just pass prophecy? And that was in the 80s, about 1986. And they put me on a possible.
Well, there you go. That's Dan. My goodness gracious. Good job, Dan. But the point I wanted to make with this is Dan walked up, knocked on the door. I don't know if that was in Idaho or Colorado. I'm not sure, but somewhere out west. And so he knocked on the door, and there's 3 brothers, young brothers. There they are in there with masks on and cleaning. Isn't that something? They are really going to be obeying the Watchtower. They're going to have those masks on. Imagine wearing that mask for 2 hours. Even when they're cleaning, they're wearing the mask. I'll tell you what, it's just an amazing thing to me that the Watchtower is able to get people so loyal to their way of doing business. It's just absolutely amazing to me. But Dan, you did a great job. And in all fairness, halls, well, I mean, they will clean. They'll get the brothers and sisters down there to clean them. And they're going to use, free labor, obviously. They're going to get people. I mean, they could look at, here's the deal. You know how witnesses are huggy and new people coming in, they love bomb them. It's very possible that some people could catch COVID because of them going back to the meetings. Possibly even some of them could get killed because of it. I mean, there still are COVID infections going on. So, but the Watchtower, really, they're bowing away. They don't want any legal liability. They're really just orally, as we said earlier, explaining things to the elders. They're not putting really anything in print to give to the witnesses. So they're going to let the elders be put on the hook. So, the thing is, I've always known this, friends. Never put anything in writing when you can put it in the spoken word. Writing is there forever. You know that even when you text on the internet or a text message, it's there. But the spoken word, it disappears. So that's what the Watchtower is doing at this particular point. Go ahead. You're on with us. Like to say something? You're on with us. Go ahead.
Hey, Rick,
Yeah.
I was just wondering, it seems to me, and I heard this more than one person, that a lot of times when Watchtower is going to present something new or different or kind of convoluted or weird or whatever, they always seem to present it on April 1st, April Fool's Day. And these people I've heard it from, they brought out examples. And I was just wondering, have you heard that? And do you think that there's any significance to Watchtower deciding to use April Fool's Day as the date for opening up the hall, since April Fool's Day falls on a Friday? It's not like it's a meeting night or the night of the memorial. Just curious.
Well, I have to say, Anne-Marie, I have heard that. I didn't instantly reject it. The Watchtower plays a lot of games. And of course, you being a Christian woman and me being a Christian man, we know Satan's behind the organization. Now, not everyone's going to believe that, but they are dictated to do things that they work in a set of circumstances. And yes, the governing body, and as we believe Satan is really running this organization, yeah, it's going to make the witnesses behave in a foolish fashion, I believe. And I think the joke's going to be on the governing body, that they are going to be disappointed. Now, I don't want to go on the record because I could be wrong, but I want to say this. I believe they are going to be greatly disappointed. I'm really waiting for the memorial attendance. I'm waiting to see how many people are going to be going back. It's going to be, I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to that like people look forward to the Super Bowl. I really am. I'm looking to see a train wreck in action. You're on with us. Go ahead.
Anne-Marie,
Yeah, hello, Mr. Farron.
That message that you
go
made
ahead,
about
caller.
the photo, the cameras being in the hall. Are you still on the line, Anne-Marie, about the cameras being in the hall and looking for people's reactions and stuff?
Yeah, I was noticing on YouTube a few years back when I was looking on YouTube for any postings from active Jehovah's Witnesses from inside the hall, and I did a double take when I first saw these cameras in the ceiling over the audience, so the rank and file, and they were in several kingdom halls. And I asked somebody about that, and they said, oh yeah, they even have them in the parking lot too, a lot of the halls. And this person who said that said she had even heard talk that they were thinking about putting cameras right outside the bathroom door to see who goes in and how long they stay in there. That's just
so
what
you like even people's reaction? I mean, like me, I was never baptized. I was raised in it. So like when I was 11 to 12 years old, of course, I couldn't give a damn about what was being said. So back then, if they had cameras, they would have told my mother, oh, your child, she's not interested. Is it like that now? Are they doing that?
I'm just surveillance. They're going to use those cameras. That was just a thought I had. Why are the cameras there? Obviously, somebody's going to go over everything. It was just a thought, but thank you.
They would have caught me sleeping a lot.
What was that, Rob?
They would have caught me sleeping a lot.
Well, they sure would have. You know, I also got word in the last couple of days. I couldn't believe this. I really, maybe you guys can't believe it either. But there's one, I got some information from a sister that she's like a PMO, but she's saying that in her particular Kingdom Hall, I can't say where, but in her particular Kingdom Hall, during the meetings, they're going to keep all of the doors and the windows open at all times. Even in the evening meetings, the attendees are advised to bring blankets. Can you believe that? So you're going to go to the meeting. The windows are open. The doors are open. It's cold. You're advised to bring blankets. And because they share the hall with another congregation, they have to do a deep cleaning and a risk assessment before they go in. Well, I've never really heard the word risk assessment in the world of the Jehovah's Witnesses, but I get an idea of what it would be. So all of a sudden, you go to the Kingdom Hall and you got 10, 12 brothers and sisters. They're going to stand outside until the risk assessment overseer can go in and kind of look around, make sure there's no obvious germs. I mean, I don't know how you would tell that, but there's going to be a risk assessment before you can go into the Kingdom Hall. So a brother's going to have to go in and inspect it to some degree. And then he will come out again and say, okay, time to come in. And because of all of this risk assessment and cleaning the hall before they go in, her memorial service is not going to start until 10 p.m. How do you like that one? That would be brutal. I mean, really, 10 p.m. And so you're going to have at least an hour for the memorial talk and service. So you got 11 p.m. before you get out of there? Are they serious? I mean, seriously.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
Yeah, I think the ones that do go back after a period of time, they're gonna start dropping off too, because they're not used to these meetings, and it's gonna be they're just not gonna be able to do it. A lot of people, that's my feeling of the ones that do go back. They're gonna have a hell of a time just staying. Sitting through those meetings is torture.
Hello?
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, it's a quick comment. Maybe I misunderstood. Are you saying that you believe they're going to keep the windows and doors all open during the meeting in cold weather?
That's what the sister told me. Yeah, that in her hall they're going to do that. Yeah.
Okay, Rick, you do realize that people might just send you stuff to see how something crazy, if you'll believe it or not. I mean, that's absurd. It's not true.
Well, I mean, I didn't do a fact check, but I mean, hey, some of these witnesses are paranoid, Mike.
I know, but I'm just saying, Rick, it's cold. They're not going to keep the doors open in cold weather. It's absurd.
And the windows.
Sorry.
But they're asking. I mean, they're being nice to people. At least they're asking you.
I know, but I'm just telling you, it's not true.
Well, they're asking the people who come to bring
We'll have to wait and see if it's true or not. One thing I do know.
To Mike, if I could, Mike, Rick always says, "Don't take this to the bank and cash it. It's just what he heard. It's what someone told him or someone wrote to him." A lot of the stuff is way out there and over the top, as you would say. But when you've been dealing with the Watchtower for 15 years, as we have, you hear a lot of stuff that's over the top, and it would be censorship not to bring it out. Thank you.
Well, I'm just saying they're not going to have the meetings in cold weather and leave the windows open. They're not. I understand you hate these people, but they're not going to do that. Sorry, I don't believe.
Yeah, Mike, we don't hate. We don't hate.
Cats news here.
Who we are upset about is the lies that the governing body is telling.
I just want to mention, if you have a loved one that dies, because death comes to us all, every funeral home in this nation and every other nation has a podium and chairs. So if there needs to be a memorial of a deceased person, the funeral home can help you with that. It does not need to be a house. I wish you all a long and happy life.
Well, there you go. That's Pixie.
Rick?
Yes, go ahead, Constance.
Well, I was just going to say, first of all, Watchtower is so absolutely paranoid, Rick. They're so paranoid. They're germaphobes when it comes to this COVID stuff. And yet, they really pushed all of that for their members to get the jab. Okay, now, here in California, it's like today, it's a beautiful day. It's almost 80 degrees. Well, in the East Coast, you guys have different weather. I can see Watchtower asking people or asking the elders to have all the windows open. Yes, it's winter. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But because they're so paranoid, they don't want everybody breathing everybody's oxygen and carbon dioxide. Okay, so they want the windows open to be able to ventilate the kingdom halls. I mean, that Watchtower's trying to do everything they can to cover their butts. There's no doubt about it. They created this problem. I mean, and they're having everybody being absolutely paranoid to wear the diaper on their face, even when they're at the meetings. And Rick, the thing is that people they're not going to go with this. This is going to really backfire on Watchtower big time. And the other thing, why did God give us a natural immunity in the first place? Okay, I mean, you can disinfect doorknobs until the doorknob comes off. I mean, the way God created us with our natural immunity is that our immune system fights pathogens and viruses and bacteria automatically. You've got to keep your immune response really strong. All this Purell and disinfecting and everything else, You know, Rick, this is going to bite Watchtower in the ass big time. So thank you.
Well, I'm with you, Constance. I really, really am. Something's very fishy.
Constance, the
Yeah.
Kingdom Halls, they don't have windows. Here in the New York area, they took the windows out. They covered them up. Look, are they now building Kingdom Halls with windows? The ones I know in my area, the one I grew up with, they used to have windows. They covered it up for whatever reasoning that was. So they have no windows.
Can I make a comment regarding the level of control? I love the new title of the quality inspector detective extraordinaire, whatever he's called, or because it just adds another level of fear and control, and they could build their resume through the Watchtower. It just amazes me how many times I heard you can apply to be on the cleaning committee. Oh boy.
Yeah, oh boy is right, Heather. No, that's for sure. That's absolutely for sure. They make a big deal. It's a privilege. It's a privilege to clean the toilets, Bye. Nutty stuff. That's good. Yeah. Well, something is very fishy here. Something's not passing the smell test to me. It really isn't. And I'm wondering, I want to get to the bottom of it. I wonder what the reason is, and I said it earlier in the program, why is the Watchtower taking a 180-degree turn? 2 weeks ago, they were keeping people paranoid about COVID, and now all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, they're opening the Kingdom Hall. Everyone is going to get back in 2 weeks, is what they're saying, and they're going to be going back no matter what. Something is not right. Now, there's something here that I really have come to grips with, that I'm thinking the Watchtower here sees the timing is right now to get people back. And they're willing to just do it very quickly because we have a war, right, going on in Ukraine. And now this is a once-in-a-decade opportunity. We have a big crisis in the Watchtower. As we know, they never let a crisis go to waste. So we have a big opportunity. So the war is scaring the daylights out of fence sitters. They think that this is the end. This is Armageddon. So the Watchtower, the powers to be, are thinking, wow, let's get the people back right now. We got a lot of people are sitting on the fence. Let's get them back and we'll get them into the Kingdom Halls. It's the same thing that happened at 9/11. They got a lot more attendance right after those towers went down because people thought, oh, the world is ending. This is Armageddon. I better get in. So I believe this is all financially motivated for sure. I believe they're going to get people back, and the timing is just right with the war going on in Ukraine. And of course, we know the memorial. I mean, that's their biggest meeting of the year. It's nothing but a big money-making operation. They get all kinds of donations, and of course, they guilt people into giving. So they're not going to let this crisis go to waste. But many witnesses, what they're saying right now in the feedback that I'm getting and what people are writing me about their witness relatives, many of the relatives are saying that they believe that because of all of this happening, the war in Ukraine, and some of the problems with the high gas prices, wheat now going into, it's not enough of it. So the bread prices are going up. So many witnesses, they're actually starting to say that, look, this is it. Get ready. We're going into the Great Tribulation. Isn't that something? Boy, these guys, they never win. I mean, they win all the time is what I should say. Even when they're losing, they're winning. But there's not going to be many going back. They can use shame. They can use guilt. But basically, it's going to be very hard to motivate the people to go back. People want to stay on Zoom, like we said earlier. You're on with us. Go ahead. Speak up.
Rick, they're not going back to the hall. This is not 9/11. 9/11 was its own. The Ukraine thing and April 1st going back to the meeting. The meetings are going to be empty, and I bet you this coming memorial will be the lowest ever in population attending. I bet that.
Well, I'll tell you what, if it is, Shirley, you and I can do the happy dance. We really, really
I
can.
just think it is. I think it
Yeah,
is. I think it'll be the low, because number one, they don't want to go back. They have the comfort of their own home. They got all comfortable and stuff, and going back and no more knocking on doors. No, it's going to be the lowest. Not too many people. And the memorial, my God, you could hold the memorial in somebody's basement. Like in our house, when we used to have the baby showers and stuff like that, they used to come to our house and use our basement. You could hold. I bet you could hold the meeting and the memorial in at the house I grew up in the basement, and still have room for more people.
Well, it's all crazy. It's all crazy.
Yeah.
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 Hey, yeah, I just wanted to talk about the rumor that you had about the whole windows and doors things open. I think that might be a little bit of a little Chinese telephone thing. The thing is that it might have to do with public gatherings and stuff, because right now it's like, well, it is, some of the states are, some aren't, but outdoor gatherings was allowed in a lot of places during last summer. So, it probably isn't unheard of for them to be thinking that, yeah, if we open all the windows and doors, does it count as an outdoor gathering? Or can we take all our seats and put them outside and put some space, them space heater torch things, and have our meetings that way. So that might be some of the ideas that are getting spitballed around.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't know for sure. I get people send me stuff, so I don't know if it's true or not. But I do know there is a phobia going on in many congregations. They do things differently than other ones. Are you a new brother calling in, by the way? Are you a new calling in? I wanted to give you a prize. Anyways, I've got some nice prizes here. I'm going to show them to you. I've got some reproductions. These books, they're beautiful. Millions Now Living Will Never Die. This is the copyright went out on it. J.F. Rutherford wrote the book.
This session is no longer being recorded.
Hold on, folks. We're going to have to go back and put the recording back on. So give us 1 second to do that, and we'll do it.
The recording has started.
All right, we got the recording started, but I wanted to show you these books. If you're a first-time caller tonight and you want to call in here to the 6 screens, I'm going to give you this book. It can be the Millions Now Living book. It's a reproduction. It's verbatimly, it's exactly the same as the original book. The original book went out of copyright, and it's now reprinted, and I have it. I will send it to you free if you speak up for the first time tonight.
Sorry.
I've also got another one here. This is also another Watchtower publication from years ago. The People for His Name. So we've got this. I've got a bunch of these reproductions. They're beautiful books there. You'd be very happy to have them. If you call in for the first time tonight, I want to send you one free. All right. So let's see what else is. Yes, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, I was the one that commented about the space heaters and all that.
All right.
Actually, I did call in like a few months, like last month or so.
You did? Oh, okay. All right. Well, thank you though for calling in. Thank you. I really appreciate you wanting to come in here tonight. Thank you. All right. So here's what we got. We know many Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't want to go back to the meetings. They're going to stay on Zoom. But, it's going to be terrible because the governing body is going to see all these shrinking numbers. There's not going to be the people they're expecting. So the people that do go back to the Kingdom Hall, let's suppose you have a congregation that's 50 people. So now we have, 25, 30 people show up when there should be a lot more showing up. So the attendees in person, I'm going to tell you right now, I know this is going to happen in the witness world. The attendees that go in person will look down on the Zoomers, those that are on Zoom. This is going to be a new phenomena in the Jehovah's Witness world. We've always known that pioneers, they look down on people who aren't pioneering, right? And we always know the service body always looks down on the non-servant males. I mean, that happens. Something else to just judge people in the congregations to being inferior. We know that's a fact in the Jehovah's Witness world. There's like a structural position that elders take, that pioneers take. If you can't be like us, you're nothing. You're diddly squat. So I'm thinking that people who are not going back are going to be strongly encouraged to meet in person. And if they don't, they're going to be shamed. They're going to be shamed if they don't come back and meet in person. There will be a few people that just are not going to do it. They're going to refuse to do it. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. They're going to lose their privileges. If you're a pioneer and you don't come to the meeting, oh, there goes Sister Pioneer. No more on the list. Ministerial servant, you don't come to the meeting? Okay, yeah, you're out of here. They're going to use, I'm going to tell you the scripture they're going to use. I'm going to tell you the scripture they're going to use, Hebrews 10, 24 and 25. Do not forsake the gathering of ourselves together. Now, even though they were gathering on Zoom, I mean, you could use that scripture in Hebrews to cover your bases on that one, right? But they're going to use that, and they're going to use their old guilt tripping, their soft shunning, and that'll fix it very quick if you want to stay on Zoom. You'll find yourself having to. You'll find yourself being coerced into getting to the meetings. The governing body has already begun to strongly encouraging. Yeah, this is what they do. They strongly encouraging, but on the other side of their tongue, they say it's a personal choice. That's what the Watchtower does to people. It messes people up. And I'll tell you what, it's going to be a real situation for many, many people who are not attending in person. They're going to really be looked down upon. It's going to be terrible. There you go. What do you think? I mean, I also got thinking, so what if you don't go to the meetings and you say, well, I can't because I have a weakened immune system. I'm not healthy. I'm undergoing a lot of problems right now. I can't come. I can't run the risk of getting COVID. What if you tell that to the elders? Well, I'm thinking they might require you to get a doctor's note. I'm just thinking out loud, friends. Just like in school, you want to skip a day of school, you had to get a doctor's note. So I'm thinking that, if I'm not going to go to the meeting, I'm a Jehovah's Witness, I'm going to stay on Zoom. Oh, fine, that's good. You have a weakened immune system? Prove it. Have a doctor write a letter to us, and we'll cut you some slack. Can you imagine that? That is absolutely disgusting, isn't it? So that's what I'm thinking. What do you think?
Hello?
Yes.
Well, I don't understand. I read the thing, I saw it, and it seemed like it said in there, like, as there was 5 points or whatever, that if somebody decided to stay on Zoom, like, they couldn't be judged for that. That's their choice, that they couldn't be judged for that. I mean, I kind of agree with you. It seems like they would rather you have to come to the meeting, but then why not just get rid of the Zoom completely? And, I mean, it used to have, I can remember years ago, you could call in on a phone even, and that was just for somebody that was elderly or sick. So if they really, I don't know why, if they want everybody to come, why don't they just get rid of the Zoom? Maybe, and then when you're talking about the Zoomers, maybe they could call them the Zoom class, the ones that don't come to King Hall.
Well, no, hey, well, thank you, Mike. I like that. We have the great crowd. We have the anointed. Now we got the Zoomers. Very good. I like that. But no, Mike, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Some of this stuff sounds over the top, and they did give people the option to stay on Zoom. But
Right.
But at the same time,
Well, yeah, but I was thinking too, Rick. I don't know, like here where I live, I live in a small town. There used to be a Kingdom Hall here in town. I could have drove there. It's 5 minutes away. Well, they closed it. It's a church now. So if I wanted to go to the Kingdom Hall, I'd have to drive over 30 miles. Some people would even have to go further. So maybe that's one reason in my thinking is that's probably why they're keeping the Zoom meetings, because they've shut Kingdom Halls down. Now, if you're in a more urban area, it's not such an issue. But in these rural areas, you got to drive an hour away. You know, people ain't going to want to do that. Maybe I was thinking maybe they'll look at it that way. Well, Brother Johnson, he lives over an hour away. You know, we show up once a month or something, make an appearance. But I can't believe, I mean, there's people around here, Rick, they don't have a lot of money. Gas can be $5 a gallon. You know, that's hard for people.
Oh, yeah, it's very hard for people, especially up there, Mike. And you're absolutely right. In the more rural areas, a lot of people don't have the money from, you know, city people. They work, they get good jobs in good places, but it's going to be a difficult thing.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm just, you know, they've shut down another Kingdom Hall here a few years ago, and they had to come over here. That's like 30 miles. So I don't know. I know there's got to be people around here, Rick, that they would definitely have to drive over an hour. And, you know, in the wintertime, that can be hard if the weather's bad. So I don't know. See what happens.
Well, that's all we can do, Mike. That's all we can do. But, you know, I want to thank you, first of all. You're really behaving yourself tonight. I want to say that you're really behaving yourself tonight. And I like that. You're a smart guy, and always good to have you come in and talk with us. Thank you, Mike. Thank you.
Hey, Rick.
Yes.
I'm sober tonight.
Yes. All right.
I've been there too, Mike. It's actually I've been there for a number of years for several different halls.
Yeah.
You know, having to drive a great distance. Actually, you know, I think 3 different halls in my life I've had to drive over 30 miles to get.
Oh, yeah. Well, do it now at $5 and $6 a gallon. See how you like it. Yeah. All right. Anne-Marie, you're on with us.
Hi, thank you. I didn't know if my phone was muted. Yeah, I want to thank you for acknowledging and validating Mike. We all love him, and yes, he has gotten out of line, but you know, we love him. And Mike, I was thinking the same thing that Rick said. Even my husband commented, "Is that Mike?" Like, wow, he's being cool. So thank you, Mike, because we do love to hear your comments and to hear your perspective. And just thank you for being well-mannered and a good team player. Thank you so much.
Well, there you go, Anne-Marie. I'm with you. Yeah, so let's move on. We got listen, I have to tell you, this was a big week for me. I'm still coming down off my high. Well, that was Monday night. I was high, believe me, not on booze, not on anything that you would think. I was high because I got into the Watchtower Media Center hearing, the environmental hearing that the Watchtower is trying to get to build their their media center, their mega media center up in Ramapo. So I was really excited this week. I'm still excited. I got in, I registered with the town of Ramapo, and I was able to come on their video Zoom meeting. And they know who I am because even last May, they had another meeting and I was on then. So they know who Rick Farron was. I gave him a mouthful, even though they don't want to hear it. But, you know, I wanted to go a little light this time. So I was glad that I could get into the meeting. And I was the first guy out of the chute, Rick Farron from Massachusetts. So, you know, at first I wanted to explain to them, well, let me go with this. I'm going to play a clip. I got a clip that I played right after the Zoom meeting, so I would have it etched in YouTube. Let me play the clip. But the original recording, I put that online too, but it was really terrible. It's a little town. Ramapo is a small little town in central New York. It's about 50 miles from New York City, but it's a small little town. And that's, of course, the world headquarters of Jehovah's Witnesses in Warwick. It's only like a half a mile away. But anyways, they're trying to build, as you guys all know, they're trying to build this mega movie studio to produce films, videos concerning the Watchtower. And they're going to do this worldwide, trying to recruit people. So I figured I'll take a fighting chance. I'm going to try to stop these people from doing this. I mean, this is the Watchtower's last vestige of hope. So I figured, well, you know, I'm going to come in. Maybe I can say something that will be of worth while. Let's listen to the video. We'll talk a little bit more about it. I'm going to share it right now. Let's listen to it. Let me make it bigger so you can hear it. All right, let's play the video. Let me roll it back here. This is me. I talked after the meeting. Well, folks, I'm sorry. I just got into the Zoom meeting. They had me up first. Zoom wouldn't let me share the screen. I couldn't come on live on another platform. So sorry that happened. Sorry that happened. I didn't realize that would happen, but they wouldn't let me share the screen on Zoom. So I could not do it. So I was hoping to do it. But anyways, there's another meeting coming up on the 27th. This one, they wouldn't let me speak. I talked about the environmental impact, about how a little town can become a city pretty quick. And of course, Watchtower is building a huge, huge media center. And you guys all know that. And we've been discussing it on our JW World News. But very disappointed tonight. Their sound quality, of course, it's a small town, but their sound quality and their whole setup is just terrible. So the 27th, coming up here in a few days, they're going to have another meeting. He said I could come in then and I could voice my opinions on what the Watchtower is up to and why I believe that people should get a heads up on the Watchtower. They wouldn't let me talk about it tonight. They just wanted environmental impact information. And I told them how I felt about it, where I do go up there from time to time and do a little relaxation. It's beautiful countryside. And I mentioned that they're going to turn it into a city. But they, you couldn't hardly hear what they were saying. And other people talking while I was speaking. But we're going to see what happens. We're going to see what happens. I might even try to even go up there myself and drive up if I have to, because these Zoom meetings are lousy. But I'm going to see how I can't get around this idea of not sharing my screen. Because on ScreenYard, you should be able to share your screen. But I wasn't able to do it. I do it every week, but then somehow they blocked it and they couldn't do it. So I'm sorry, folks. I'm sorry. I wish I could have been in there. I wish I could have been in there. If someone has a comment, well, I guess you can't really comment here. You can comment in the live chat, but I'm not sure why we couldn't get StreamYard in there. Maybe if we we'll stop it right there. We'll stop it right there, and let me just discuss a few things. I've been in twice now. I was at the first meeting last spring, and they wouldn't let me talk anything about the witnesses. I wanted to let the neighbors up there in Ramapo and Orange County, New York, I wanted them to know who their neighbors were going to be. I wanted them to know what is going on in the Watchtower right now with world governments coming down on them for shunning, coming down on them for hiding child molestation. They wouldn't let me get a word out of my mouth. They shut me right down. But I said, now listen, this is a public meeting. When can I come in? When are you going to have a hearing where people can come in and voice their thoughts other than environmental issues? And they said, well, that can happen next week. So I says, well, can I come in then and voice my concerns? And they said, yes. So Monday night, I'm going to hold them to it. I'm going to come back into the hearing and I'm going to hold them to it that you said I could speak up. So that's what I'm looking forward to. But I'm going to put a big sign when I go in Zoom right behind me, a big sign, because I'm in the sign business. I'll make a nice sign that says Google Jehovah's Witnesses and see what that might result in. But they said I could talk, so I'm going in there next Monday night, and I'm going to have a live on Facebook and on YouTube, and this time it's going to be a little clearer. They blocked me in certain things. I couldn't share a screen, like you just heard me saying, but I got a way around all of this, so Monday night will be a lot more clear, and you'll be able to hear it better. So join me Monday night live at 7 o'clock for the Ramapo hearing. So that would be good. Thank you. So I'm just going to remove something here. We got people coming in. What we have is people that are coming in on our YouTube, and they're putting up like really nasty messages, like naked, go online, strip club stuff. These are Bethelites. These are Watchtower operatives, and they've been hassling us for 16 years. They've been trying to shut us down, But especially when I just started talking about this, see, that got their attention. These are Bethelites that got a few beers, and they're coming on here tonight, and we see them on YouTube. All right, so that was what I did Monday night. I felt good. Boy, I'll tell you what, after I was able to at least get in there, even though they shut me down, boy, did I feel good. I got this adrenaline rush. I've been feeling good ever since. But, you know, I'd like to get more Rex witnesses. Why don't you guys go to the Ramapo Town Hall? It's online, Ramapo, New York, and register to go on their Zoom meeting. They'll give you a password. If we could get a bunch of witnesses in there, ex-witnesses, I should say, if we get ex-witnesses in there, we could make a big difference. Why don't you try it? Write the Town Hall, Ramapo, tell me you want the number, and come on and let's beat the Watchtower up. But go light a little bit because they'll shut you right down. But let's let the people of Ramapo, let's let the people of Orange County, New York, let them know who their new neighbors are going to be, a dangerous and a destructive cult. Well, that's my thoughts on it. I'm going to keep fighting, but, you know, I think there's payola here. I really, really do. I think some people are getting paid off because the Watchtower, they're so presumptuous. They've already gone ahead and asking the rank and file if they might have an RV or a mini trailer of some type that they could donate to them so they could put it on the site for the construction workers to stay in while they're building the media center. I mean, that's a little bit presumptuous. They don't even have the permit yet. And then the town of Ramapo was pretty upset the other night too, because the Watchtower threw a curve at them. Now, originally, when the Watchtower had the plans drawn up by the architect, the Watchtower was going to have, from what I could gather from the meeting the other night, it's kind of couldn't hear it too good, but what I did extract from it is the Watchtower originally that they want 6 stories. They want 6 stories. Man, that's a big building out in the middle of nowhere, right? But so I guess evidently they did get the okay to go 6 stories. So then the Watchtower came in with their lawyers Monday night, and being as presumptuous as they are, they said, well, we want to make a change. We don't want to go 6 stories now. We want to go 4 stories. So the town said, well, wait a minute. We've already done the environmental impact studies. And, you know, we were looking at you guys building up rather than out. So the Watchtower lawyers said, well, we decided that rather than go up, we want to go out. But what that does is that eats up more land. There's more drainage problems. There's more problems with conservation and wildlife. So it kind of took the Watchtower off. So they said, no, you're going to have to stay with the 6 stories. So the Watchtower lawyers weren't too happy about it all. But they said, now the town said, if you want to in time, you can get a special permit, and that's very hard to get. So I'm glad at least the town of Ramapo, I'm glad they denied the witnesses what they were looking for. See, the Watchtower, they feel they're above the law. That they feel they can get whatever they want when they want, and that is not the truth. So that was good. I'm glad I got a chance to get in there. All right, let's take a look. Let's see. Yes,
hey, Rick.
Yes.
I was going to say that town needs to realize that they're not going to pay no taxes because they're going to be tax exempt there, and they're not going to hire any people out of that town, you know, because they'll have witnesses there doing volunteer work for them. You know, I mean, that's something ought to be brought up to the meeting when it comes about.
All right. Well, I'm going to get in there Monday night, and they did say that I would be able to voice my concerns, but we'll see. We'll see, and I'm going to hold them to it. So I'm going to give it another shot and see what happens. Well, thank you very much.
Usually, when some kind of facility or something is built, you know, around a small town like that, in that area, it brings jobs, it brings taxes and everything else, and that they're not going to be paying taxes because they're tax exempt because they're a religion. And then again, there'll be witnesses there working there, so they ain't going to employ people around that town. I mean, that's my thought anyway.
Well, it's a good thought.
Yeah, Rick, along with that thought, the thought I just had, these Bethelites, call them Bethelites, they live on a stipend, and it's peanuts. So it's not like they're going to be going out and having a nice meal at a restaurant and dropping 50 or 60 bucks. They don't even make that a month.
Yeah. Well, good point, Dick. Thank you very much. Yeah, we got a lot of things that are going on right now. It's very, very weird in the Watchtower. Hey, I want to talk about what happened just a few nights ago. I mean, things are happening here. The 6 screens, I am getting inundated with emails and messages and people writing in from pretty much all over. In fact, what I wanted to say is the other night, March 23rd, we got some tweaking going on the phone. Dick, mute your phone if you would. We got some tweaking going on here. All righty. If you do have your phone line open, just put your hand or a paper towel or something over it, and it'll keep it nice and clear. But I wanted to say that on March 23rd, I believe that was Tuesday morning, I got a call on my Facebook. You know how they do calling on Facebook? So I got a call on Facebook at 2:00 in the morning, and the phone was ringing. And I said, gee, I don't know who this is. Sometimes I like to keep my phone on. I keep it by my bed like you guys do too, right? You kind of sleep with your phone, right? So I had the phone next to my bed, and, the phone was ringing. And I'm thinking, gee, maybe I should answer because sometimes my kids are calling and maybe someone really wants to talk to me. So I did answer the phone, and there was a woman on the phone, and this woman was suicidal, and she wanted to talk. So what am I going to do at 2:00 in the morning? I don't want the woman to die, but she was crying, and she really wanted to talk to me. I mean, I did not know this woman, but she said she saw me on Facebook, and she wanted to call me. So she called me on Facebook because she didn't have my regular number. Her name was Phyllis, and she's a 76-year-old former Jehovah's Witness. And she was trying to eke out words in the midst of her crying. She told me, friends, I'm going to tell you, this is despicable and disgusting. She told me when she was in her 40s, her Jehovah's Witness husband beat her repeatedly, leaving her body badly bruised. Well, that's one thing. I have heard that numerous times in the 16 years I've been doing this program. But this woman was crying in tears, and I listened intently to what she had to tell me. And she told me that her Jehovah's Witness husband raped her and ruptured her with a broomstick. Can you imagine that? And she was crying, and she was saying, nobody's believing me. She says, Rick, she says, nobody believes me. I tell them all of this. So I said, Phyllis, I really believe what you're telling me because I hear things very heinous like this on my programs I've been doing for 16 years. And she said that she went to the elders. She told them about her abusive husband. And what do you think they did? Nothing. They did nothing. Pray more, work with your husband, satisfy your husband, all of these stupid answers. And here she was ruptured with a broomstick. She needed 4 operations. And, she was a nurse, and she supported him. She supported him. He didn't work. And she would be so ticked off that here her husband would be standing on the side of the street doing street witnessing, passing out Awake and Watchtower magazines. Is that despicable or what? So I wanted to mention that to you. And, in the 16 years that I've been doing this program, I've heard some pretty extreme abuse cases in the Watchtower. There was a woman that called in about 10 years ago, and she called in with a horrifying story of being sexually abused and being tossed around like a football to a number of elders to have sex with her when she was just a toddler. That woman called in a few years back, about 10 years back. And what about Amber Sawyer? Remember Amber Sawyer? As a matter of fact, I'm going to put a picture up. You guys have seen this. You guys have seen this on the internet, I'm sure. That is a picture right there of Amber Sawyer. And she's been on our 6 screens telling her story. She told us a story about how her sister committed suicide because her sister could not handle the pain of being disfellowshipped. Now, Amber Sawyer was just 8 years old, and she was sitting in the living room watching cartoons on TV. Her mother was out in service placing Watchtower magazines, and all of a sudden, poor little Amber heard a shot in the other room. It was her sister who just shot herself with a rifle. She was dead. Little Amber, only 8 years old, stood by the side of her sister. It was heartbreaking, and she was just waiting for her mother to come home from service and tell her what happened. Isn't that something? And here's the other thing. We have people call us up. They've never spoken to their grandchildren. They've never seen their grandchildren. We have people that have been walking home because they're disfellowshipped in the rain. Jehovah's Witnesses wouldn't pick them up. We see people that have been kidnapped, little kids kidnapped out of the hospital so that they wouldn't be able to have a blood transfusion. We had a man come on here too that was given rat poison, and it basically killed him. It destroyed his voice. He was given rat poison because he was molested as a little kid, and his sister, who was a witness, wanted to stop him from speaking up. We see marriages broken. We see families displaced. We see child sex abuse. We see Jehovah's Witness poverty. We see careers ruined. We see talents inhibited. We see articles in the Watchtower to kill apostates. We have people that have been asked questions when they've been raped. Women, well, what type of underwear were you wearing? Did you actually move in a direction to make this man rape you? We have parents that are not even involved and are invited to their children's weddings, children's no birthdays, suicide. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. But the reason why I even bring this up is this. People ask me, why do I protest? We will be protesting at the Kingdom Hall it'll be April 15th at the Kingdom Hall in Wilmington, Massachusetts. And people ask me, why do I protest? And I come back and I say to them, why aren't you protesting with us? That's what I say, and sincerely mean it. Why aren't you protesting with us? It's time to get out of the bleachers. It's time to get into the game. It's time to really let the Watchtower know that you are fed up. We have people, and I'm not trying to in any way discourage people. We have a lot of cyberspace protesters. We have a lot of them, and that's fine. Many have to remain that way. But if you feel now is the time that you've had enough, this could be the atomic bomb that we could drop on the Watchtower. I'm going to do this here tonight. I'm going to tell you all. If I'm in the sign business, you know that. I want to make you a beautiful sign. I will put on that sign whatever you like. And I want you to go and I will give you the sign free. I'll even pay the shipping. And I want you to go to a Kingdom Hall, and I want you to stand in front of the Kingdom Hall with that sign and let those witnesses and the people coming into that Kingdom Hall know that you have a bone to pick with the witnesses. If you like that sign, I only ask one thing, that you get a digital picture of that sign of you standing in front of the Kingdom Hall. That's all I'm asking. I want a digital picture of you standing in front of the Kingdom Hall with the sign I'm going to send you. So if you would like to have a free sign, it's going to be a good sign. It's going to have a statement. It's going to make a statement. It's going to be easy to read. You write me at jwworldnews@gmail.com. I will send you the sign. All I ask is a picture. Do that for me. I want you to speak up. I want you to get out of the bleachers, as I say, and get into the game. Let's expose these bums for who they are. And protesting works. I'm tired. I know there's people on listening in tonight. There's been people with their YouTube videos. There's been people that say, well, that's regressive. That's regressive. That's what they call regressive activism. No, I call it aggressive activism. What are we supposed to do? I mean, look at all the protesters, the truck protesters. All of a sudden, we see people protesting around the world. We see them protesting in Russia. They're trying to make a difference. And you know something? The protesters can make a difference. So let's do it. Let's do it. People say, well, why do you protest? Because it feeds into their persecution complex. That's what they tell me. Forget that. Forget the persecution complex. Get out there. Stand tall in front of a Kingdom Hall and let them know your position. If you want an adrenaline rush, come on, friends. We got to be the Marines. We've got to go forward with this. We're not going to sit back anymore. We're not going to take it anymore. Please go out and protest at your Kingdom Hall. Now, some can't. I understand that. Maybe you don't want to be seen. Well, put a mask on. Put a mask on, but try to go out to your Kingdom Hall this Memorial night. We're going to be doing it. April 15th, we're going to be live on YouTube. We're going to be live on Facebook. We're going to be bringing it to you in front of the Wilmington, Massachusetts Kingdom Hall. We're going to let the witnesses know that we're not giving in, up or out. We've been doing it for 12 years, and we're going to continue to do it. Well, thank you. I didn't mean to rant and rave, but I get excited about this. I really, really do, because I believe that this is the last weapon that we really have. You know, we've tried so many things. We've tried, witnessing in cyberspace and trying to help the people through forums, trying to help people through our radio program. But the last big weapon that we have is standing in front of a Kingdom Hall with a sign that berates the Watchtower. Okay, that's my little rant and rave. That's my rant and rave.
Preach it, Rick.
Oh, that's it. Well, no, I get excited, Pixie. I get excited.
You need to, and people need to get themselves free. Maybe a sign that says, get yourself free.
Yeah. Well,
because we're really, this is like abolition. These people are working for nothing. I think one of the reasons that they left Brooklyn and went upstate was because it was known that they didn't pay their people. And, New York's always been good salaries and fighting for that. And people that die with no blood transfusion, and the elders in poverty where they want their money. There's more than just the voiceless children. And I really appreciate you saying the names and saying the issues tonight. And I hope you can do that next week or when Memorial time comes.
Well, we're going to be doing it live, so you guys will get a chance to see what's going on. Now, I know everybody can't protest. I'm not going to, don't think I'm the mad guy at everyone that can't, because some people just can't. Let's go with that. It's not easy. The first time I started protesting, it was very difficult. But if you want to feel that adrenaline rush, give it a shot and put me to the test. Let me know, Rick, give me a sign. Geez, I'll be down the shop making it tomorrow for you. And I'll get it out to you, and you guys can go to the memorial and do your thing. Wow, my goodness gracious. Well, I just want to mention a few things. We're going to be cutting loose here. We got Reese. We got Reese coming in from the belly of the beast. So he'll be coming in here very, very shortly. And also, I just want to put a shout out to Dr. Richmond. Well, him and his wife, they listen to the program every Saturday night. And Dr. Richmond, he always writes me emails, but he says, Rick, let the people know that at these Jehovah's Witness meetings, he was evidently listening to one on Zoom. And he says, just listen how many times they use the word Jehovah. They beat it to death. Jehovah, 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 Jehovah. It's now getting to the point that these people are going insane with the word Jehovah. All right. Thank you, Dr. Richmond. Sunday program, we got it tomorrow. Why don't you come in tomorrow beginning at 1:00? We got the Knowing God program, 2 Christian apologists. Well, they'll be coming on tomorrow, and they do a great job exposing the Watchtower. They pick they pick something from the Watchtower, an article or a teaching, and they show how wrong it is. So we want to give a shout out to them. We also want to say Anne Marie has a great program coming on tomorrow at 2:00, and testimonies, ex-Jehovah's Witness Christian testimonies, people that leave the organization and they become real Christians. Well, she has a woman coming on tomorrow. Her name is Heather, and she'll be on at 2:00. And then I do JW World News at 3. And then, of course, Jay Hess. You got a Bible question? Ask Jay. He's on at 3. And I also want to give a shout out. I want to say Christy Ann. And I believe you're on, I've seen you on earlier on YouTube. You're doing a wonderful job, Christy Ann. And also Curious, XJW Curious. You guys are doing great. A lot of these YouTube people are doing wonderful. But Christy Ann, I'm glad you're doing better. I believe that you did have some issues with health, and I'm glad that you are doing better. You're a wonderful lady. You're producing some of the most fine YouTube videos I've seen. Keep up the good work. And listen, if you guys like this, if you like what we're doing here on Facebook and YouTube, why don't you like us? Why don't you subscribe to us? It's not going to make any more money for me, and we're not into that game. But what game we are into, the more times you like or subscribe, what that does is it brings more people listening in, and we can help more and more witnesses. So let's move in that direction. Well, we're going to be moving on to Anne Marie or Constance or Dick. I'm going to need someone to come in for about 5 or 10 minutes while we kind of transition here from one YouTube to another. Is anyone available out there, Dick or Constance or Anne Marie?
I'm right here.
All right, Dick. Well, I'm going to let you kind of come in and you kind of just rule the roost here for about 10 minutes, okay? And thank you, Dick. And in the meantime, I want to say,
everybody.
I want to not right, Dick, not right yet. I just hold on one second, Dick. I just want to end the program. If you like our program, subscribe to it or like it, as I say. But in the meantime, the last one, leaving the Watchtower. Please turn off the new light. Dick, it's yours. I'll be back in 10 minutes. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Good evening, everybody. Dick Borgie. I'm calling from Orton Beach, Florida, where it's 75 right now. Anyway, Rick was talking a little bit earlier about protesting.